WWE's Night of Champions this Saturday afternoon in Saudi Arabia. Another Saudi Arabia pay-per-view, but again, the good news is this one, and as they've been doing for a while, tying them in to the regular pay-per-view schedule. They're not shoehorning this one in between stupid stuff. It's a pay-per-view all by itself, essentially the May pay-per-view. So it fits in with the storylines. It doesn't
Plus,
seem...
what time is it? Like 1 o'clock we get to watch?
1 in the afternoon Eastern time from Saudi Arabia, 10 o'clock on the West Coast in the United States, and well, all times in between. I think probably at a regular time in England. England, how about that? 2 pay-per-views in a row they're about to have at regular time, and that's probably the first time ever, right? Because you're going to have a 1 o'clock pay-per-view, and then next month, the next pay-per-view for WWE, 7 o'clock pay-per-view with Money in the Bank. So regular timed pay-per-views and not 2 o'clock in the morning for those in the UK. But Night of Champions, the night where all championships are on the line, except for a few championships.
What the hell's the point?
The WWE, and that kind of scared me because this Saudi Arabia, I know that in the past, obviously, they are like the longest pay-per-views because they are trying to make these things super cards. So when I saw them announcing Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus, and I saw them announcing Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar, I was like, crap, because you have like 8 championships, and then you got those 2 matches. This is going to be a long pay-per-view. But WWE's like, nah, we're going to have those 2 matches that aren't championships, but we're also going to exclude some championships. So it is a 7-match card. SmackDown's already been taped this week. Spoiler alert, no more additional matches are being added as of right now. So watch SmackDown this week and no matches. Like Austin Theory, he's on SmackDown this week, doing nothing with his championship.
Yeah,
though.
don't even. Yeah, you know what? This is an FYI. You're not missing much, so you can just probably bypass the Friday night show.
So 7 matches, 5 championship matches.
So this isn't really the Night of Champions then, if it's literally got singles matches. Like you have Becky Lynch, Trish Stratus, and you have Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar. So if this was per se a Night of Champions, why are we having matches that are not for championships?
Yeah, I mean, Roman Reigns is not defending it, which is strange because again, normally in Saudi Arabia, WWE puts the championship not just on the line, but like on a WrestleMania caliber, him and Brock or him and Logan Paul or some sort of big championship match we've seen in previous years in Saudi Arabia. But the Universal Undisputed Championship is not on the line in Saudi Arabia, which is a good thing.
Here's what I have to ask you though. I don't mean to cut you off. Is there any matches on here that you can see a title change? Like you're ready to go. Like Saturday, you're like, all right, this title is being changed. We obviously know there's going to be an inaugural World Heavyweight Champion. So yes, we're going to technically have one new champion crowned. I mean, does any of these title matches like stand out to you? Like, okay, like Mustafa Ali, is he really going to be Gunther?
I would probably say, Bianca Belair and Asuka. Asuka has a good shot. I think they've been hyping up that match pretty well.
Okay,
Natalya. I mean, that's just that. Listen. I would love. We've talked about Natalya going on 6-7 years now. But no, she's not beating Rhea Ripley. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see her give a run, but that's a story for another day. No, she's not beating Rhea Ripley for the championship. The tag team title match, that is intriguing. I necessarily don't see the titles changing hands. It's intriguing nonetheless. And Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, I guess the question is the Usos going to come out and help them?
That's what I'm kind of curious about. Like,
do we see the bloodline break up like that? Because we saw Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn dedicate this match to the Usos. I thought that was pretty interesting this past week on Raw.
Yeah, that's a little interesting for me. If I had to put money on it, not that I am, but if I was a betting man, I would probably say Owens and Zayn still retain the titles. I don't see the bloodline winning. I don't know if it means they're breaking up. I just feel like the cracks are just going to get bigger and bigger, and eventually we're going to get to that point where it's going to break. Honestly, for me personally, I feel like a good place to maybe break things up if it's not going to be down the line at next year's WrestleMania is the obvious choice is SummerSlam. That's kind of where I feel like the bloodline is going towards a breakup because that is the biggest show of the summer. So, that's what I can see. I think Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have a longer run as champions in mind. I don't know. For me, I just can't see them losing the titles just after getting them not that long ago.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely feel that they are the favorites to retain the championship. Speaking of like kind of down the line, and listen, WWE, they do things fine, and it's one of those things that everything always works out. I'm talking to the fans out there who are still sour about Cody Rhodes not being champion. The WWE still continuing. The road's still moving. Everything is working out.
Wait, did you say the roads is still moving?
Yeah, whatever way, that didn't really make any sense. But if you want to turn it around and make it make sense, yeah. The point is
the roads.
The Earth is still turning, and the world is still going on.
All roads lead. There it is. Sorry, I had to do it again. All roads lead to a future championship for Cody.
But that makes me think of Becky Lynch here and Trish Stratus, a match that I thought they were saving for SummerSlam. So why I say, and I'm prefacing with, the world is still turning, meaning that come SummerSlam, WWE will give us a good card. But this was one match I thought we were going to get at SummerSlam. This is one of those ones I feel a little rushed in the sense of we're getting it in Saudi Arabia, really kind of rushed when I thought we were going to get it farther down the line.
But Raw was pretty hot this week, though. I mean, that was a hot segment. I thought the whole.
No, and I think it's a good segment. I just thought that we were going to fester on this a little bit longer because essentially Night of Champions, right? It's only about a month and a half after WrestleMania. And it's about only a month after they broke up. So I thought we were getting this over the summer, and potentially we could be getting it over the summer again. But the first time around, Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus, we're getting here.
I agree, though. I do think it should have waited until SummerSlam. I think we're in agreement on that one. You're right. It is rushed. And here's the thing, especially it's Night of Champions.
Because we got two, and so it's rushed to put it on this card when we have two women's matches already on this card for championships. And hey, I have to say, we've talked about this before. Becky Lynch, Trish Stratus, a non-women's title feud. You can chalk it up to the single digits amount of times that has happened, that we've had a one-on-one women's match with no championships on the line. And I'm okay. And at a pay-per-view.
And here's the thing: from when you say it like that, I do like that because that shows you that there are some, there are some storylines to be had that are not just title storylines. Like you can actually have good storylines without having a belt involved, which I think is good. The only downside, the only drawback is you have to bring a legend to do that. Like you have to bring in a Trish Stratus. That's the drawback for me. But I'll give credit where credit's due. It's I am intrigued. I as much as I don't like the fact that it's on this pay-per-view strictly for the fact that
the U.S. title isn't on this pay-per-view.
That's what I mean, and it's like, and it's also named Night of Champions. Like, if it's not a title match, it shouldn't be on the card. I mean, I get you could have waited for Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar. I feel like they could keep destroying each other like they have been. You could have waited for that. Yeah. I feel like it should have been. I mean, this is just me. Maybe maybe I feed into the name of the show, Night of Champions, more than maybe I should. But that's, if you're going to have the name Night of Champions, then it literally should be an entire night of championship matches. You shouldn't have anything else on it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've seen Night of Champions before where they've had other matches, but I at least say this much. There wasn't like a lot of championships being excluded. So here, obviously,
that's true.
The Women's Tag Team Championship is being excluded. Obviously, the whole situation right with Liv Morgan having to relinquish the belt due to injury. But we're getting that on Monday night. On Monday Night Raw, we're getting a Women's Tag Team Championship match to determine the champions there.
Well, the unfortunate part is, too, Damage Control's got a little damage, too, with Dakota Kai tearing her ACL. So that's
so the Women's Tag Team, that's a story for another day with the injuries they're having. So I guess I kind of exclude. But with the U.S. title, Austin Theory couldn't be any hotter. I think he and his U.S. championship should be on this card.
I agree.
I don't necessarily know who he'd be facing. There's a lot of opportunities because there's a lot of people who actually aren't on this card. A lot of SmackDown talent I'm thinking of that aren't on this card that he could be facing. I mean, just look at the people who were in the title tournament. Bobby Lashley. I mean, we could have Bobby and I know we've had it a bunch, but Bobby and Austin Theory for the U.S. title one more time.
Yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, you could run the drum up again with maybe like a Sheamus or something. Yeah. Like that could have been a decent match. I agree. I think having Austin Theory off this card, especially when it's named Night of Champions, I'll keep saying it, Night of Champions should have all the championship belts, and especially a guy like Austin Theory, like you said, he's kind of on a roll lately. He's been one of the hottest commodities in the business right now, and to leave him off the card, I feel like it's a little bit of an injustice for him. I feel like he deserves it. I'm like, let's be honest, like Gunther and Mustafa Ali, like I think Gunther's just going to squash him. That's my thoughts.
I mean, it's difficult, obviously, because Mustafa Ali is, I don't want to do the whole, like, when they did Drew McIntyre and Sheamus, the hometown boys when they were in Cardiff, and neither of them are from Cardiff. They're both from different countries.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do the whole Mustafa Ali in his hometown, but essentially Mustafa Ali is, heritage-wise in his hometown. So, it's difficult for...
he's Chicago born, but he has his family ties, towards the Middle East. Yes.
Yes. So, I don't necessarily know if he's going to get squashed for that fact alone, similar to how they used to give Mansoor matches back in the day. Hey, and there's a spot where's, Mansoor right now, isn't he teaming up with Veer Mahan and Jinder Mahal in their return?
Why not Mansoor have a match with Austin Theory? We just came up with an idea.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's not, because he used to have that was his.
He was always on the show.
Yeah, and that was before anyone had ever heard of him. Like that was when he was far down on the card of NXT, and he would literally just come out of working at the Performance Center to be on the Saudi Arabia shows.
He was guaranteed to be on these shows. It's funny. It's funny now that you mentioned that. You forget that he's doing the whole thing with Maxine Dupree, the Maximum Male Models.
Oh, that's correct.
Yeah.
It's not him, so I misspoke. So Veer Mahan and Jinder Mahal, and what's the other one? The other big dude that they're doing that together. They're doing that little group.
I forget off the top of my head, but it's because Jinder is with
Veer.
No, I thought he was with who was the old commentator that used to be on it was Dio Madden back in the day.
Is that, what is his current, let's look up Jinder Mahal's current faction here.
I'm curious because now you got me thinking about it. I'm like, wait a second. Because I believe it's Maximum Male Models, which are kind of Indu Share. Yeah, he's the leader of Indu Share.
Okay, but who is, what are so it's Veer. So, all right.
Sangha.
All right. So, yes. So he created this in NXT into the main roster, and they've been doing the vignettes recently. But yeah, Sangha and Veer.
Yeah.
Those are the people that he's been doing this with.
But okay, so now the next question is now we're talking about it. Okay, so who's the guy who used to be Dio Madden? What is who I'm talking
doing is what you're asking?
Yeah, what is his name now? That's because he was the broadcaster. No, I was going to say there he's Massey. There we go.
Yes, because he's in the Maximum Male Models. Yes.
I couldn't think of his name because I know he was Dio Madden when he was a broadcaster. Now he's Massey because they had to emphasize the names now because Otis is Otis. So just I couldn't think of his name, but that's because he was on the broadcast booth, and then he was in that group with he was Retribution. With what's his face there?
Dijak. Yeah, he was T-Bar.
T-Bar.
Back in that faction with Mia Kim.
Yeah, but Mustafa Ali was the leader.
Yes.
Yep.
So
we're working through things here on live on the broadcast.
So Jinder Mahal, so I guess Maximum Male Models, could be. Yep. He could be on the card, or Jinder Mahal with his new faction. Give Veer Mahan, give him a U.S. title shot out of nowhere.
Yeah, why not?
Remember what was it 1 year ago? Because it was the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania in Dallas. He got the big debut.
Oh, Veer?
Yeah, Veer Mahan. Yeah.
That whole
or the big return, I guess.
Yeah, and then they did nothing with him.
Yeah, and they did nothing.
Yeah, it was another one of those things where he was hot for a second, and then they put the fire out really quick.
I will say this much: I do appreciate, and this shows obviously in the past that what was done didn't need to be done. And I talked about Saudi Arabia always having these excruciatingly long pay-per-views, and I didn't understand when they first implemented them. They were 5-hour pay-per-views. They were super cards. They were matches that didn't fit in with the storyline. And I always said, I'm fine with them going to Saudi Arabia. I'm fine with them doing that, but can't they just incorporate it in with the regular pay-per-views like WWE is doing now? They're going to London, right? They're not doing Insurrection pay-per-view half between SummerSlam and King of the Ring that's not on TV for people in the United States. They're not just creating a new pay-per-view so they can go to London. They're just using the existing pay-per-views. They're not creating now a new pay-per-view for them to go to Saudi Arabia. They're just using existing pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know why they didn't do that before when they had the greatest Royal Rumble and Crown Jewel, and like Crown Jewel, 3 weeks before Survivor Series and 3 weeks after Hell in a Cell. Why they couldn't have just made Survivor Series in Saudi Arabia or Hell in a Cell in Saudi Arabia. And it's nice that they're actually just incorporating it into the existing pay-per-view calendar. Obviously that's what I think contributed to Backlash 2018 being one of the worst pay-per-views of all time.
Yeah, we talked about that on here.
Yeah, and I attended that pay-per-view and it was awful, and it happened 1 week after the greatest Royal Rumble, which was essentially really the follow-up pay-per-view to WrestleMania. Yeah. And then Backlash was just ridiculous.
Do you regret going to that?
No, why not? Why would I regret going?
To a bad show?
Yeah, but I don't regret going because you know what? I'll never forget that show.
So it was
better. I tell you what, as bad as it was in person, it was probably been worse on TV because at least you're not even there. You're watching, just watching bad TV.
Yeah, it was.
You're just wasting your time watching. At least I'm at an event at least I'm having a communal experience. I'm experiencing. I'm I can say I was there, right? If your team loses 100-0, a football game, a basketball game, whatever, it's cooler to say you were there to kind of witness that. Listen, there wasn't something else that night. It wasn't between Backlash and AEW, and I chose Backlash. It was between Backlash and just sitting on the couch watching 60 Minutes or something. So
you watch 60 Minutes?
I do watch 60 Minutes, but I probably would have been watching Backlash.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, I guess
I learned something new today, folks. Jared likes 60 Minutes.
It's a good show. CBS Sunday Morning and then 60 Minutes. Those are the only 2 times I think I watch CBS. That channel.
Well, unless the Giants are playing.
Oh, yeah,
somehow they're on CBS.
Yeah, unless, other than that, I don't watch any other CBS programming. But I like 7 matches, a regular length card, shoehorned into the regular pay-per-view calendar. I don't know why they couldn't have just done that to begin with.
Yep.
And also, but I don't know why this couldn't have been King of the Ring. We talk about, you're mad that this is called Night of Champions because they're not doing it. See, it proves that this could have the whole time just been King of the Ring. And you know what they could have done is they could have had this little tournament here that is crowning the new World Heavyweight Champion as the King of the Ring.
And in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Oh, man, you could have tied it all in. It would have been beautiful, but they didn't.
Yeah, they could have had the King of the Ring. And again, they didn't need to have the whole tournament. They could have just had the semifinals and the finals.
Well, yeah, that's fine. You still could have made it work, and you could have done it in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia of all places.
Then you wouldn't have needed Bianca Belair and Asuka to even be on the card because you wouldn't be calling your pay-per-view Night of Champions. So with excluding championships, nobody would have missed Austin Theory because you'd have said, hey, it's not Night of Champions. He doesn't need to be there. He's just not on the card.
Exactly.
So you shoehorned your way into the fact of calling this Night of Champions. So now we're saying, hey, where are these champions?
So I do have to ask you then, since we're talking about it. So who's the inaugural champion?
Seth Rollins.
Yeah, to me, it would be a big upset if it was AJ Styles. And that is nothing against AJ Styles.
I mean,
it's
here's
just the way
thing.
It's been built.
Roman Reigns has already been on Monday Night Raw promoting this tag team match, right? We haven't even had this brand extension going for 2 weeks, and they're already making a joke of this thing.
No, yeah,
I mean, the Raw Women's Championship match this Saturday in Saudi Arabia is between 2 SmackDown competitors.
Yeah, how jacked up is that? It's
the SmackDown Women's Championship is between 2 Raw competitors.
Yeah, so are we gonna do a gift exchange? What are we doing here?
I thought we would have done it already. You know what I mean?
Why don't we just so say Oscar wins and then Ripley wins. All right, so are we we're not going to unify the championships, obviously. So we're just are we just going to do a handoff? What are we doing? I remember, what was it? Wasn't it Charlotte?
Charlotte and Becky.
She just dropped the belts, and there was a huge thing. Yeah.
And I imagine that's what they're going to do again eventually. I don't know what's taking them so long. I don't know why they didn't just do that already.
Or you know what you could have done? You could have just drafted. You could have just drafted some talent that's representative of the right show. So you have a Raw Women's Championship match. Okay, so, maybe make Asuka a Raw competitor or something.
Well, I guess I do at least like it like this for now.
So there's no surprises?
Because
so there is a surprise.
There is a surprise because Asuka, if she wins, you know what I mean, she's still going to stand in the right show. For example, the Seth Rollins, AJ Styles thing, keeping with the brand extension and the fact that after the pay-per-view on Saturday, we're going to kind of iron things out and kind of, get back to the keeping people on their right shows. So if that's the case,
maybe.
I think that AJ Styles isn't going to win the championship because that would just throw a kink right in to everything, and then boom, he's got to switch shows immediately.
Well, plus they've been building Seth Rollins up like crazy lately anyway. So if you watch enough programming, which obviously we do a podcast for it. Seth Rollins is being built up. They did all these things with Corey Graves and everything. So to me, it's like, okay, you're not going to do all this pomp and circumstance for what? For him to lose the match? No, he's winning.
So I see Gunther retaining. I see Bianca and Rhea retaining, and I see this upcoming week on television, Bianca and Rhea switching belts.
So that means so if I tallied that right, no titles changing, right?
No titles changing.
Well, we do get a crowning of the champ, so I guess that's something.
And to be honest with you, either way, I still think Roman Reigns and Solo versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn is going to be very entertaining.
Yeah, I think that has the makings of being maybe the highlight of the night.
Here's another thing that we're going on our second pay-per-view doing this because we just did it at Backlash with the double main event, and here we're doing the triple main event. We don't need that. We don't need that. Whatever the last match is fine. If you don't have what you call a main event, that's fine. Whatever you're putting on at the end, that's the main event. One of these matches is going to close the show. That's the main event. Simple as that. Triple main event, what does that even mean?
That to me, that's a little ridiculous. I'm with you on that. If whatever's the final match of the night, that's the main event. Let's leave it alone. That's it. You can highlight it all you want, make it all the pomp and circumstance. Like, yep, this is the main event. Any other matches are not the main event because they are not the one that's going off.
Yeah,
you're not going off the air with any other match.
Like you can kind of again get away with that with WrestleMania with the 2 nights, but with this, no, you can't. No. I mean, the main event at Backlash, it was Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar. That's what we thought it was going to be. That's what it was.
Yeah, and that's the way it should have been.
End of story. Yeah. Should be a good pay-per-view this upcoming weekend, though. Gets out of the way early on Saturday, and then you can enjoy the rest of your weekend. But should be a good pay-per-view. And
I like it in the middle of the day, you know.
And hopefully it's short. So 1 o'clock start on the East Coast. Hopefully, like I said, 7 matches. It stays in the 3-hour frame.
Done by
it's
4
over by
4.
4.
Yeah, I'm good.